Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. Great article here from Mike over at Live Reading. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So this is a big deal. This morning, T-Mobile presented at the Deutsche Telekom Capital Markets Day. This was in Germany. I caught a little bit of it, but it sounds like they're ready to go to war with the industry, meaning Verizon and AT&T. And I know they've been competing. They've been going at it for a long time. But now they're looking to really go at it with the necessary funding needed. So T-Mobile's financial M&A war chest could reach $36 billion. So for those of you who watched my videos or who may have tuned in to T-Mobile's Capital Day here in the U.S. in San Francisco, they have about $20 billion set aside from the total $80 billion that they're going to generate for buybacks, dividend, the $10 billion for Spectrum, US Cellular, and Lumos and Metronet. But now it looks like Deutsche Telekom is going to help up this to $36 billion. So new accounting from T-Mobile's majority owner, Deutsche Telekom, could increase T-Mobile's overall financial M&A power to $36 billion. But it's not clear how that money might be spent. So this is where the speculation starts. What could T-Mobile possibly buy on the wireless side that's $36 billion worth, right? So M&A, keep in mind, M&A stands for merger and acquisition. Acquisition could also be buying Spectrum, right? So that's not out of the realm of possibilities. It's clear that this could be some, 3.1, whatever becomes available. T-Mobile would have more firepower now to compete against Verizon and AT&T in a future Spectrum auction. But if we're talking about merger and acquisition, I like the fiber play. I really like the fiber play for T-Mobile, and I think that's where they will head. If it comes to mergers, right, and acquisitions, right, besides Spectrum, it's got to be fiber. It has to be fiber that they're interested in. Because the current projections, what they presented this morning, on just the current deals that they have, Lumos, Metronet, and then some of the other Tillman, I forget the other ones, but some of the other partners that they have, they are expecting a IRR, which stands for internal return revenue, 20%. It's a pretty huge deal. It's pretty big that they're already anticipating a 20% return on those investments. So they're pretty much telling investors, hey, yes, we are using some of the buybacks to fund this, but don't worry because we're going to make a 20% return on that initial investment. So that could lead to even higher buybacks in the future. Yes, you cut back a little on buybacks now, but a 20% IRR, that could lead to even more money back for investors in the future. And then getting to that $36 billion on firepower on M&A could lead to even more fiber players and more rate of return. So the business plan is clearly working. So a cash infusion could give T-Mobile the flexibility to pursue additional fiber transactions like the ones it already has inked, or it already inked with KKR for Metronet and EQT for Lumos. It also could pave the way for T-Mobile to go after the other MVNOs like Mint Mobile, which it purchased in May for $1.3 billion, or other wireless network operators like US Cellular, which it proposed to purchase in May for $4.4 billion. Those are small, right? Now you're talking a cash infusion. That's coming from DT, right? You're talking about a cash infusion. You're talking about $36 billion. It's a lot of money. So now we're going from small time to big time. Right? You no longer now have to go after the small players. You could still do that if you want to, but there's no other player of such value for T-Mobile. The last one was Sprint. That was at about, $26 billion. They got that and closed it. That's done. That's behind them. They're now working on the synergies and really making a return on that investment, right? And that's a really big return on the initial investment. Mint is already closed. That's direct to consumer. T-Mobile's really just using that to learn, and yes, they're increasing competition on that side too, but it's just really a learning curve for T-Mobile, in my opinion. US Cellular, that one valued at $4.4 billion. T-Mobile can fund that on their own. They really don't need a cash infusion for it. But that's really the next step for T-Mobile that's another bigger value for T-Mobile. Tower sites, more spectrum, and then even a larger rural deployment versus what they're currently doing. So that's a bigger asset. And I think they were always going to buy US Cellular. I thought about that in 2017, 2018. And I even thought about it up until the point that they actually made the announcement that they would always go after US Cellular, right? But there are several other players that are of some value to T-Mobile. I think one is called, I don't know if it's GCI or GGI in Alaska, right? That's a potential operator that T-Mobile could buy to gain native service there. There's C Spire, there's Viero. They could possibly be interested in that to some small extent. But I think they have enough now. I mean, at $36 billion, you could literally take $2 to $3 billion and increase capex. So that's not a big deal. It's just not. So here's another quote here. I'll read off briefly. While we wouldn't expect to see DT be drawn on exactly where the M&A capital is likely to be deployed, we already got their capital allocation outlook, so they're not going to tell us that. It is still a key area of uncertainty for investors in the stock, wrote the financial analyst at New Street Research in a note to investors this week following the close of DT's Capital Markets Day. We would presume that the vast majority would go towards the U.S. market, given the U.S. market is now undergoing the in-market convergence M&A phase that most European markets have gone through over the past 15 years. So they're thinking about the convergence piece, right? Going bigger on fiber, right? Merging fiber and wireless. It's possible, although I don't see that happening. T-Mobile is already talking about that convergence has been going on in the U.S. market, and rightfully so. But I still think they go bigger on fiber. I still think they do the least third-party model. I don't think they buy anything and own and operate. But that's a lot of money. $36 billion is a lot of money for T-Mobile to go after it, right? If Frontier was still available, if Verizon didn't ink that deal, they could have easily afforded Frontier, as an example, right? So Lumen, it's a possibility. I'll throw it out there, right? I'll throw it out there as the last piece of speculation. Lumen is a bigger fiber player. T-Mobile would have the funding necessary to probably pull that off. So that's another bigger player that they could go after in the fiber space. Very possible. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Live. See y'all in the next one. Peace.